We got another one. So we're about to do another one. I'm meeting a friend in town who was telling me a story about owner of the vehicle had some sort of medical issue. They had to go to the hospital, so a friend of mine drove their car back to their house from whatever location it was, and he goes, this thing is rough. So he got in touch with me, called me up, said, hey, I think this would be a good thing for the AuxAuto project. So I'm getting ready to go meet him at her apartment, and we're going to check it out and see if it's something that we can help out with. Except today I'm cruising around in the 1968 Chrysler 300. And this one is a 2006 GMC Sierra. When we took this one for its initial drive, we realized it had half the power it should have, half the stopping power it should have, and it had half of the fluids that it should have had. But before we get too far into it, let me explain a little bit of how I got to be able to pay for the repairs on this GMC Sierra. So this was a 2000, I think it was 14 Ford Focus that needed new wheel bearings. The owners contacted me and they're like, hey, if you put these wheel bearings in, we'll cut you a check for a donation. And that's what they did, and it helped out paying for the maintenance on this 2006 GMC Sierra. And overall, this truck wasn't in that bad of shape. It had some work done on it already. We ran some codes on it, and it was showing a lot of multiple random misfires and a couple specific ones. And like I said earlier, when you went to stop, it would get to about 10 miles an hour and the ABS would kick on, so you'd need more distance to stop, which, it's not safe unless you're in snow. But we weren't in snow, and we aren't in snow because, this is Tennessee. The roads were dry, just about as dry as my personality. Their engine codes were blinking. It didn't accelerate. It didn't stop. Those are two pretty important things in a vehicle, and we're going to fix that. Over in another part of the shop out at Auxland, the Auxilium Auto complex, is this 1970 Plymouth Satellite. Now, the owner of this car has a person that he calls whenever there's something that I can't figure out. So he's on the phone with this person all the time, trying to figure out the things that I don't understand about cars, because apparently I don't know that much about them. So I reached out to him and I was like, let's take this truck over there so they can fix the fixes on it, and I can work on other things like, working overtime to pay for these things and solicit some donations and get some help. And that's what we did. Took the truck to Sidco Auto Care and just dropped the truck off. A couple of days later, the owner called me. He said, hey, I talked to your other friend. He told me what you guys were doing. He said, this is a really cool thing. I'll get the truck done, and I'm going to do my best I can do to cut you a break on the price. And he really did, which we'll get to that later. But first, let me explain another situation.
So, the argument is if your car, it's in such bad shape and you're going to have to take it into the shop all the time and get it fixed, then why don't you just go buy another one, and then you don't have to worry about getting it fixed all the time? Well, here's the thing. People don't have $2,000 or $3,000 just sitting around to buy a vehicle, and who says that's going to be any more dependable? And people don't have $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever it is. I don't even know for a down payment on the car. What's a cheap car these days? $25,000, $30,000, and you pay your down payment, and who knows what your interest rate's going to be, and then you're on the hook for $30,000. So that's what we do at Auxilium Auto. We provide financial mechanical assistance for those who depend on their transportation for daily living, so they can go to work, they can go to school, they can go to their medical appointments, they can pick their kids up, they can do everything they have to do, because around here we depend on our vehicles for living. So that's what we do. And in some cases, maybe the cost of the repair is more than the worth of the car, but that's okay. That's why I want your subscriptions. That's why I want your likes. That's why I want your ideas and your comments and your donations. I mean, that's going to help too. That's funded the last couple of AuxAutoAssists that we've had. So just kind of an explanation. I mean, sometimes it's no sweat off us to put a little bit more money into a car, because, we can help take someone to their next level. We're not going to service their car for the next 20 years. We're just going to pay for the expenses. So maybe over the next couple years, as they get their stuff back together, their life back together.
And that was the case with this truck. The owner was dealing with some medical issues, works 2 jobs, still making it happen, just had a vehicle that wasn't safe to drive, and until they could get one that's a little more practical. Now they have one that starts, it goes when it's supposed to go forward, and it stops when it's supposed to stop. The bill on this one was well over $600. The shop got it down to just under $500. We covered everything. Ended up being some ignition coils, some wires, some plugs, wheel bearings. So we delivered the truck. She was super grateful. Just one less thing that she's got to worry about while she's dealing with everything else that she's got going on. But the coolest thing about this whole project was the person that she goes to church with that's a friend of mine's like, hey, just as a thank you for doing this for her, I want to let you drive my car home. So we drove to his place, and he's got a 1982 DeLorean. So we both share this, we grew up in the 80s, in the 90s, so we both share this pop culture appreciation. So we talked about the time machine thing, but this thing is in such great shape, you really can't take a car like this and turn it into a time machine. That flux capacitor, just a little bit ago, that was one that I built because I wanted a flux capacitor and I didn't want to pay $1,000 for it. So let's just look at this. So unless your name's Cliff, you're probably not watching this video all the way through, but if you are, I appreciate you being here. This is the 7th AuxAutoAssist that I've done. I want to do a lot more, but I really need your help to do that. I really need you to subscribe to the channel, comment and like, do all the stuff that we do on social media, because that is going to benefit this channel and give me the ability in the future to do this many more times. I also want to feature some cars. I'd like to feature that DeLorean. The owner of that vehicle is a plethora of information when it comes to some weird and wacky vehicles, and I'd love to just interview him and talk about it. If you like that kind of stuff, let me know. But I want to keep fixing vehicles. I want to work on them. I want to show you some cool stuff. But ultimately what I'm doing here is providing financial mechanical assistance to people that can't afford it, that need it, that are really kicking butt at life. They're just having a little bit of issues with getting to the places that they want to go.
And always be safe behind the wheel. If you couldn't tell, it's just TV.